Welcome to Countdown to Infinity, a Marvel's Avengers podcast. We talk all things Marvel Cinematic Universe, and that includes, well, you know what it is at this point, movies and TV shows. And look, we know we've been gone for a while. There's a lot going on. Sophia's in Phoenix. I've been super busy with some other things, but no matter, we're back. This week with a preview episode, not even a preview episode, sorry. I guess it is just a highlight episode of a new podcast we have called Screen Slush, which is out now. It's less Marvel specific and involves all things pop culture. So we talk about TV shows and games. But later on this week, we're also going to be talking about Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, the new movie from Sony. It's animated. A lot of people have loved it. You might have seen it. And at some point, it might be a part of the MCU, but it's not yet. Let's hold our horses. But we'll talk about that because that is Spider-Man and that is a superhero movie. But until then, enjoy this episode. This is our favorite things of 2023 so far from Screen Slush. So again, we talk about all things pop culture, so not just the MCU, although there are some MCU movies we talk about on this episode. If you like the pod, subscribe to it. It's got its own page, Screen Slush. You can go to screenslush.com, and there's video pods and exclusive episodes at patreon.com/delphinpod. DELFINPOD. So you can head there if you want to see more. There's so many episodes, hours and hours of Screen Slush. But without further ado, enjoy this episode, this special presentation of Screen Slush, and we'll be talking Spider-Man later on this week.
This is Screen Slush, an unhealthy mix of film, TV, and everything pop culture.
Welcome to Screen Slush, a podcast where we talk about everything's pop culture. Great start.
Everything.
Already tripping on myself. You know, I find that
pop culture.
Everything is popular culture. I don't even know what counts now.
Yeah. What's not pop culture?
I don't know. We talk about movies, TV shows, video games, books occasionally, but we're at the half point of the year. We're in June. We're actually in maybe the second week of June, which is the end of June would be, I think, the halfway point of the year. But Brent and I are talking about our favorite things from this whole year, 2023. Brent, how are you feeling about the year?
I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really good about it. It's been a great year so far for all sorts of different pop culture.
Yeah. I guess
items.
That's a huge caveat. We're not like rating our favorite personal moments or professional moments, I guess.
No. Do you have any?
Here's number one personal moment of the year. I found like $5 outside once.
That's pretty sick. Hey, that's up there. That'd probably be my number one.
Yeah.
Finding a $5 out there, find a nice Lincoln on the street.
Downside, I lost $20 in a pair of pants, this year as well.
So you're out $15.
So I'm at a negative, but the 5 helped. And I feel like it was a really old $20 bill, like really old, not even like a fancy looking one. This thing has been around for a while. So I think it's possible this fucking $20 bill disintegrated in my pants pocket or something in the wash.
Yeah.
Because it was already flimsy. Like it had been in 1,000 people's pockets.
It's been in someone's nose before, that 20.
Yeah. So I don't know.
That thing, you probably washed it in a pair of your khakis and it fucking just disintegrated in the wash. Like
$20 gone.
Yep.
So yeah, that's probably my personal highlight and my personal low light of the year. Just a net negative $15.
Yep. Hey, could be better, could be worse.
We're talking about our favorite movie of the year. Then we'll talk about our TV show, some of our biggest surprises, biggest letdown, our favorite video game star of the year, and our craziest thing to happen, maybe if we have time. But we might have the same thing because the craziest thing to happen in 2023 is still the slap heard around the world for me. Will Smith slap is still ringing in my ears.
That trickled into the next year.
No, that's not it. But I do feel like there's some pretty wild pop culture stuff going on, and we may talk about that, but who knows? We may not have time. Yeah. But This year, a lot of really big movies have come out. Some seismic movies, some history-breaking films, and I would say some really memorable finales, at least in TV as well. Super Mario
Yeah.
Brothers is the highest-grossing movie so far this entire year. So far, I keep saying so far. It's made so much money. I'm kind of like
1.3 billion.
$1.3 billion, one of the highest grossing animated films of all time. I think it's number 2 behind Frozen 2 or something like that.
Wild.
Next to that, or let me see if you can guess. Can you guess the top 5 highest grossing movies of the year worldwide, Brent? Super Mario Bros. Number 1. We both watched that, I think. Yeah, we both watched that.
Of course. Yeah.
Number 2 worldwide highest grossing movie of the year.
Okay. Is Guardians 3 on there?
Guardians 3 is number 2
Okay.
with a bullet.
Okay. So that's kind of the trend. Big drop off from Mario. Oh boy. Okay. All right.
Number 3 is pretty new.
Fast X.
It's Fast X.
Okay.
Number
Quantumania?
Yeah, it's Quantumania. Number 5 is interesting to me. I don't know if you're gonna get number 5. We definitely watched this movie, but I'm surprised it's number 5. Is all I'll say. Not to say it wasn't good, but it's yeah. I don't want to give you too much. I'm confusing you more than I'm helping you. Probably number 5 highest grossing movie this year. A lot of people watch this movie.
Oh, John Wick.
John Wick Chapter 4.
Hey, I got
number
the
5. You got the 5. Number 6, Little Mermaid. Number 7, Spider-Man Across Spider-Verse. Number 8, Creed 3. Remember that movie? Yep. 9, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. And 10, Scream 6.
Right.
But still a lot of people worried about the box office and theaters. I feel like more people are going back to the theaters. I know we're probably nowhere near COVID or pre-COVID numbers, but I've seen like 3 or 4 movies this year, and I watched Guardians twice.
Yeah, definitely. I've been to quite a few movies. I think I was going to say this at the top when you asked about the year so far. I think it's been a very, very kind of insane year so far for games specifically. TV kind of also. Movies, like, don't get me wrong, there have been great movies so far this year, all over the place, like in theaters, on streaming. But it really feels like the best is yet to come in a big way for movies
sure.
for the rest of the year. But still, that being said, like, lots of just great stuff all over the place this year so far.
Yeah, and we just talked about the top 10 highest grossing movies of the year, and maybe 4 of them are like actual solid, giant releases. So there haven't been that many. And we're in the summer season, so more is still yet to come. We still haven't seen Indie.
Let's just keep doing this for an hour.
I'm trying to remember another line from Indiana Jones, and I can't.
I'm your father.
I'm your father.
Indie.
Snakes. Why does it have to be snakes? I guess we're just doing Sean Connery movies now. I'm the Hunt for Red October.
Hunt for Red League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
I'm Bond. Okay. Well, let's get started with our favorite movie of the year. Yeah. I guess we already talked about mine, so I guess I'll start off. Okay. Because when I looked at my list, I have not seen a lot of new movies this year. Just period. Haven't gone to any festivals. I'm sorry I'm not at Cannes to all of our French listeners. I wasn't at the Riviera.
He wasn't at Cannes? I cannot. Wow, that's how I learned.
What are you doing? Who's that? Is that Sean Connery? What was that?
I can't do a French accent. Just learned that.
Cross
that off the list.
Ennui. I once did a play called Mad Woman of Shallow. The Mad Woman of Shallow. It's a French play. Mm-hmm. And I played a... oh, man. I'm going to get canceled. Never mind.
Well, okay,
I'll get into it.
Give us one line.
Okay. I can't, because I played a deaf mute in the play. Yeah. And I did not know sign language. So most of my job was reacting in this play, if you can imagine. I did have it's a comedy. It's a farce. So at the end of Mad Woman of Chaillot, it's all these crazy characters. I'm there reacting, not saying anything.
Hmm.
I don't know now, looking back, if I was really bad at memorizing lines, and that's why I got that part. But who knows? Anyways, I'm reacting to everything. At the end, this is spoiler for Mad Woman with Chaillot, something that was written in the 1800s.
Hey, put a
But
banner up.
banner up. I don't even know much more other than the title of this damn play. Anyways, at the end of Mad Woman of I'm not even saying it right. Shallot? I always said Chaillot.
Shallow.
From 1969. Okay, whatever.
Nice. Okay.
Anyways, I say my only line in the entire movie in a French accent. Or sorry, in the entire play in a French accent.
Oh boy.
Because I'm
And what is
deaf mute
that
the whole
line?
time, and the spoiler is I am French. I think, or something like that.
Holy moly, that sounds good.
I gotta find the video if it's out there. But if you want to see me just nailing my one line,
Yeah.
it's out there. And also, this is how Daniel Day-Lewis of 14-year-old me was. I downloaded from Google Common Sign Language, and I probably just didn't do well. So maybe we shouldn't look at the video.
There were deaf people in the audience, and they were just shaking their heads at how fucking wrong it was. Oh boy,
Whatever,
it.
It's fine. Okay, my favorite. What was my favorite movie?
Yeah.
Of the year is not French at all, but it also is a major hit, and I think I might release this on our Marvel pod. So this is perfect for them. But it was Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I was thinking about this. I was like, what movie left such a lasting impact on me? And it's not so much all the Marvel-y stuff. It's a lot more of the James Gunn storytelling and kind of cinematic stuff in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And just how beautiful it was as an ending. Obviously, we've already talked about it so much. We've done like 4 or 5 hours of podcasts on this movie, but I really enjoyed it, and I find myself like looking back on at least the emotions that movie elicit, and I really enjoyed it, and I think it's a fun movie. I watched it twice in theaters. I'll watch it again when it comes out on Disney Plus or whatever, but that's my favorite movie of the year.
Wow, that's a really good pick, man. Yeah, definitely. I mean, Guardians is like way up there for me for the best movies of the year so far. It's it just has all of, maybe more than any of his other movies he's made, at the very least in the studio system. The most, free it's felt like he's kind of been to kind of like commit to his vision.
Yeah.
I think like the emotional core of the story is incredibly strong, very funny, so much heart and, creative action. It's excellent. Really a reminder, amongst some other things of, all the great stuff that the MCU can kind of put out there.
And they let him do the non-Disney stuff too, which I think is really cool. Like, it has some pretty brutal moments and some really fun, violent scenes juxtaposed with a joke, which I don't think they'd let him do in the other previous Guardians movies. Yeah. So that, I think, was like kind of his parting gift, was allowing us to kind of enjoy that in an MCU movie, which so far is one of the most watched of the whole year. So I hope everyone listening on the Marvel pod turns it off right after this, because you got what you wanted. Okay.
You got what you wanted. Shut it down. 12 minutes.
My favorite movie of the year, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Take it to the bank, print it,
ship it, clip it,
ship it, clip it, turn it off, and we'll see you next week.
Can
you imagine that? Just people who like hear the thing that they like and say, I'm good, just end it right here.
It's like Barry listening to various preachers in the final season of Barry.
I did find my only line in the play, not to go back to it.
All right, well, give us a
Mad Woman the also messed up. The character's name is the deaf mute, so I don't. That wasn't on me. That's the name of the character. It's sadness flies on the wings of the morning, and out of the heart of darkness comes the light. And everyone is surprised that I can talk or something, and it's like one of the
Kaiser Soze moment.
It's a Kaiser Soze. I think I did it with like just a very offensive French accent.
Yeah.
And I
Great.
did win a Tony Award. It was the first one given
Wow,
to
exciting.
it was the first one given to
Given
a
to
high
a
school
child?
student. A child, yeah.
A non-professional Texan child.
It was Lin-Manuel Miranda and Angela Lansbury
Wow.
gave it to me. Yeah.
That's great. And you went up there and rapped with both of them, right?
I did. I rapped with Angela Lansbury.
Well, yeah, Lynn didn't want to that night. He said,
Lynn
let
didn't
the
want
kid.
to. That wasn't his thing yet, This was so long ago. Brent, what's your favorite
Great.
movie of the year?
I almost went with a different one, but in the end, I ultimately ended up going with D&D, Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among
Oh.
Thieves.
Yeah.
Listen, for a while I had this in my biggest surprise category. Something else took over recently, but I was like, you know what? Let's cut the bullshit. Listen, I loved John Wick. I think it's the best John Wick yet. I think it's incredible
Absolutely.
action movie. But it's kind of coupled with the fact that D&D was as surprising as it was, and how kind of low my expectations were, all the way up through like a week or two before it came out, it feels like. But I just think D&D is such a like classic, in not in the sense of like a 50s action adventure movie, but like a 90s or like early 2000s action movie, which we don't really see anymore. Like everything these days is very winky and kind of self-aware, and there's a little bit of that in D&D. And to be fair, I don't hate all of that stuff either, but I just think that the form that D&D takes is it is a very earnest and sincere kind of love letter to the game of Dungeons and Dragons. And it's, I just think it's a very, very fun, action adventure movie that felt very fresh, even if it felt like these kind of action adventure movies like I kind of grew up with in the 90s and 2000s, like The Mummy or Pirates of the Caribbean or something. So yeah, I really think, if I'm being honest with myself, that's probably like my favorite new movie I've seen this year so far. I loved it. And if you haven't seen it, check it out on Paramount. It's good.
It's such a good movie. It's, obviously you got the amazing cast, Chris Pine, and even, the supporting cast is great.
Yeah.
But it's incredibly funny and accessible while still being like a fantasy quest movie with just insane creatures and just an incredibly like heightened world that is unapologetic, which is cool. And it doesn't necessarily like shy away from how complicated D&D can be, like every item has a crazy backstory that they are very happy to tell you, and they're not trying to ground it too much where you're like, oh, okay, like, I don't want to besmirch any other movie, but remember Warcraft? Remember that movie?
yeah.
And I'm like, am I supposed to cry about this ogre or whatever? Like, what? Like, it's not to a level where they're trying to make you like connect so much with anything other than like maybe just like the shared emotion of family or whatever.
It's very, for all of its D&D-ness, I guess.
Yeah.
It's like the story is very relatable and very human. And that's, part of what makes it work so well, I think.
And we might be talking about it later, Brett.
Okay. Excited.
All right, let's talk about our favorite TV show of the year. Oh, actually, any honorable mentions for you for favorite movie of the year? You talked about John Wick.
Outside of John Wick, God, that was kind of my one that I also included here.
I
wonder if I still
the only Oscar-y quote unquote movie, because again, a lot of them have come out. We're really excited for Past Lives. There's a lot of great movies coming soon. But the only other movie that I think on a sort of quality level was fun, and we watched this movie together, was Ben Affleck's Air. I thought that was a solid movie.
Yeah,
Air was good.
I do have, Air was very
well.
good. A couple more. I think Creed 3 was great. Baggage aside, I think it was a really fucking excellent movie.
And huge caveat, we haven't seen Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, which people are already putting in their lists. Yeah.
What the fuck? Creed 3 is excellent. And then I also have Infinity Pool, which I think is so fresh and unique and fucking sick. And Very good. So yeah, some other good ones.
All right, let's talk about our favorite TV show of the year. I don't know. We may pick some super similar movies. Look, it's a big HBO year. The odds are we're gonna pick one of them movies because whatever. We'll talk about honorable mentions. We don't talk about it. I mean, I can't. Mine's pretty easy. Succession was great. The finale of Succession was fantastic. The Roys got what they got coming for them. It's a show that at the end of it made me want more, and then also kind of felt right in the way that it all finished up. The whole show has been pretty consistent. There's that amazing, I don't want to spoil Succession. I think there's still some people who haven't seen it, but there's amazing turns that the final season took. And I think, they went out on top. They were at peak, whatever they were doing. And I think that this season of Succession was really effective and a beautiful way to end a TV show that is a little cynical, but definitely really, I think, still an emotional ride, especially considering how much the characters have changed or not changed at all, actually,
Yeah. Succession is it's hard to pick anything other than that, but for variety's sake, I am going to go with something else.
Okay.
I'm going to pick Last of Us.
Nice. Another HBO show.
Another HBO show. This show really felt like it went by very fast, and I'm not sure why that
How many episodes was it? Because it did feel like 6. Okay, 8. Okay.
I think 8. Yeah, I think 8. But yeah, I just think tall order to adapt, one of the best games ever made into a show. But I just think it was so well done and well considered. And I think all of the additions they made to the show were some of the best parts of the show.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how they do the continuation of the story. I just think it was incredibly impressive. Great performances, great, storytelling there. I loved it.
I think that there's a whole lot for me, at least in the honorable mention. We didn't talk about Barry, but Barry was great as well. I only have one episode of Picard season 3, the finale that I've been watching on Paramount Plus, and that has been really solid. But a lot of good shows this year, I will say.
Yeah, I mean, the other one that I put here that really almost beat the others to make it to number 1, just again, almost in a D&D way, where it was so out of nowhere and so surprising to me, was Beef with Ali Wong and Steven Yeun.
Are we allowed to talk about that show?
I guess broadly. I just think
Beef is good. It's so good. It gets crazier and crazier.
It is so unique and funny and dark, and
it's Netflix's best show of the year.
Oh, absolutely.
Wait. Hold on.
Well, hold on. Shadow and Bone season 2.
I know, and I think you should leave. Is really funny.
And that is on my honorable mention.
That should be on the list because we just want a ton of those shows. Tim Robb screaming about
whatever
shirts, fun shirts.
I have so many games on my phone.
I could be on my phone for literally hours. So good. Okay,
great.
Let's talk about our biggest surprise of the year. I'll quickly talk about mine because we've already talked about it. D&D Honor Among Thieves is my biggest surprise of the year. I picked this as the biggest box office bomb of the year, and it may be. I don't know how much that movie cost, but I hope it has a great life on streaming.
Kind of has a mid kind of
really good. I feel like I went in without any expectations really either, and it was a romp. It was a fun, light romp, not too heavy. We already talked about it as being your favorite of the year, but D&D Honor Among Thieves was my biggest surprise.
Yeah, good pick for that. It was in that slot for a while for me until I checked my Letterboxd and realized I logged something that wasn't a movie, but I felt so strongly about it that I logged it on there because it was there. Double Fine Psych Odyssey, man. The YouTube docu-series about the making of Psychonauts 2 that I talked about.
Oh, yeah.
That is like 32 episodes long, like 960 minutes or something like that.
Whoa.
No, 22
Shut
episodes.
the front door.
I'm sorry,
What?
22 episodes. 960 minutes.
That's still insane.
It's
Wow.
very long, but what you got to remember too is that like this was a like how long was the development cycle? 6 years for this game.
Who
I
made
just
that
think
documentary? That's a long time.
Double Fine. No. 2-Player Productions or something. It's like a production company that actually works. It's important to specify they don't work for Double Fine. They work at Double Fine and like make documentaries for them, but they're very much.
Are you
on
sure
their
it
own.
wasn't Richard Linklater? Because if that's the case, it's
Ricky
actually
Links.
a pretty quick movie for him to make.
Quick turnaround.
I'm not impressed anymore if it was him.
Yeah, right. But I just think this came out of nowhere. Like I figured the same team was following the same studio because they did a documentary on a different game a few years back that was much shorter. But then this thing dropped, like all at once. It was on YouTube.
Yeah.
The gaming community started kind of catching on to it, and then it started like spreading around like the gaming industry as like this is an incredible piece of like gaming history, gaming journalism, like what it
Say
does.
The title again. What is
Double
it?
Fine
Double
Psych
Fine.
Odyssey.
Yeah. You hear that, listeners? Write that down.
Write that down, because if you are even marginally interested in video games, this is one of the most fascinating things you will see this
ever.
I sure.
Yeah.
Cool. But yeah, it's very good. Loved it.
Sounds like you can also kill 8 hours.
If you need to burn some time on something good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's another surprise. The only other surprise on my list was a TV show that we both watched too. Part of it was because I just not on my radar, even though we should be as presidents of the oh shit, I already forgot her name. Never mind. Fan club. But it was The Diplomat. What's her name? Kim the Diplomat? Carrie Russell.
Carrie Russell.
Carrie Russell fan club.
Card-carrying members of the...
Card-carrying Carrie... Ooh, that's a tongue twister.
Card-carrying...
We're card-carrying members of the Carrie Russell fan club. And we're actually big believers in open carry of the card.
Of the carry card.
Yeah.
Carry, yeah.
Don't hide that. Put that right on your belt.
Yeah. But I got a patch. That says Carrie Russell fan.
Russell. Oh, we're slowly. Our minds are slowly going during
coming out my ears.
But The Diplomat was good. I think I did
yeah.
not expect that show to be what it was. I was expecting a little West Wing, but it was a little bit more than that. And was really wonky, but also like the stakes are pretty freaking high in this show. It's a good show, and it's also a beefy show. These are long eps, very melodramatic eps. But The Diplomat was a surprise too for me.
Yeah. I don't think I have another surprise on hand.
Okay.
Well, hey, real quick.
Huh.
Real quick, actually. I'll chalk this up as a surprise. Really hot off the presses from yesterday. I don't know how much you know about this game, little video game called Starfield. But they had so it was right after the Xbox showcase. They had a 45-minute Starfield Direct where they were talking about it's a new Bethesda game. So the Skyrim people, the Fallout people, it's a brand new IP from them. They've been working on it for like 7 or 8 years. And honestly, way up there for biggest surprise of the year so far. I had pretty high expectations for this thing.
Yeah.
And judging by the internet's reaction, it seems like it blew fucking everybody away.
Yeah.
I am so hyped for it. I think it's going to be a pretty incredible game when it comes out in September. So yeah, that's up there for surprises too.
You got to play it.
I mean, yeah.
And we'll see.
Jury's still out.
Hopefully it doesn't make the 2024 biggest letdown, which is our very next category, the biggest letdown of the year.
Mm-hmm.
This is we thought about not even doing this because it's a little bit of like it's a little bit negative, but I think we have to be honest about this.
Yeah.
And,
I
just
think, yeah.
for it, part of it is your expectations of things. So just know it's pretty subjective. Although we're also really right about a lot of stuff.
We're
So
correct about, so keep
we're
that
pretty
in your
good
back
about
pocket.
this.
And I think, I think who you and I are as people, I'm not too worried about talking about letdowns, because it's
Yeah.
you and I aren't like a couple of fucking dunkers out here slam dunking on
We're
all of
not the
these
Dunkin'
things and
boys,
being like,
the
that's a
Dunkin'
piece of
Donuts.
shit. That thing fucking sucked. That's not going to be us. So
That being
should be
said,
fine.
this movie's a piece of shit and
Okay.
I'm just
Yep.
kidding. Oh, I feel bad. That was just a joke. But it's a movie that I think I had really high expectations for, which are on me, but also was almost marketed as kind of a seismic event type of movie. And it just ended up not being that, and kind of a little disappointing in a lot of other ways. And it was Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, a great fun movie. I enjoyed how kind of insane the concept is. The quantum realm is wild. It's Paul Rudd is fantastic, but I ended up thinking that it was kind of meandery and sort of
Yeah.
not just random, but almost like, I don't know, lost. I felt
Yeah.
like the characters in Quantumania. I was like, okay, we go from this like brooding flashback with Jonathan Majors,
Mm.
who may not be Kang for a long time or ever again.
Yeah.
But it comes from something like that to like a
Yeah.
cameo with Bill Murray to, an ending that kind of left me feeling like, wait, so
Yeah.
what's happening now? And then like I was just like, this movie is a whole lot, but it didn't make a ton of sense for me, just, at the end. So I was a little let down by it. Although still, I think a fun movie to watch, but I'm not necessarily sure it's a staple even within the MCU. It's not like this is the opening of the Kang Dynasty type of a movie.
Yeah, I think I'm in the exact same boat with you. I think recent public real world events will only make this movie's legacy
Yeah.
probably even more tarnished.
And we're talking about MODOK,
We are
IRL,
talking about MODOK,
not a good
all the
guy. MODOK's not
not a good
nice.
guy. He just loves whipping that little butt out, and people
Mhm.
don't like looking at it.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that joke was. I'm sorry. But yeah, I think that the movie just ultimately felt a little slight and a little bit like it just felt like the MCU formula manifested that
Yeah.
movie, and it didn't feel like there was a ton of like real authentic heart and care kind of. I know people work incredibly hard on the movies, and they did for that movie. I'm absolutely sure of it, but yeah, I just think the end result wasn't something that left much of an impact for me.
Yeah.
So
They left a lot of good meat on the bone with Cassie Lang, and there's all this like
oh
really
yeah,
intense relationship stuff that ended up taking a back seat to like,
yeah,
just other things, other events in the quantum realm. Just
yeah.
crazy. What's your biggest letdown? Was it
So
this podcast?
it's this episode that we're doing right now. I'm
Halfway
already
through, you're like, oh boy,
God, this is a real bummer.
it's a stinker.
No, yeah. So actually, I'm gonna. I thought about this right before we potted, but I was like, oh, let me think about, aside from movies, the biggest letdowns, and I think I've got one. It's in the gaming space. It is Redfall from Arcane Studios, the team that made oh my god, I need to make sure I get this right because they're famous for it. They made Dishonored, they made Deathloop, they made Prey, all games that have stellar reviews, reputations. I haven't really played much of those, but it
Mhm.
speaks for itself that they have like an incredible legacy. This game Redfall was like Microsoft's, like, their big kind of like March, April push for Game Pass. They're like, if you have Game Pass, you're going to get this game. They're pushing it super hard, marketing all over the place. And it came out, and I downloaded it and had the same experience a lot of other people did, and was just like, holy shit, this is not even a finished game.
Mm.
And it was rough, man. And listen, that being said, it's a looter shooter. That type of game is very can be very
A
addicting to
looter
play.
shooter.
Almost like Diablo with guns.
Yeah.
You kill stuff, you get new stuff, and you equip it, and it's whatever.
Does the game take place at a Hooters?
No, but that would be good.
And then
Hooter
let's see, what's
shooter.
another one?
I see what you're saying.
It's a Hooter shooter. It's a looter shooter that takes place at Hooters.
Yeah.
And they eat a little bit too spicy wings, so they got to take a trip to the pooter.
Well, now this pod is on my most disappointing.
Yes.
But yeah, I just could not believe how rough it was to play and how straight up legitimately incomplete the game was. Like it got a lot of 4s out of 10, 5s maybe out of 10, like very rough. And like the premise is cool. It's like they're in this town that kind of like a vampiric presence descended on.
Yeah, I was going to say the cover looks like there's a vampire.
Yeah.
And
you fight vampires.
And then the protagonists look like Fortnite characters or something.
It's kind of, it doesn't really kind of know what it's doing in terms of like its personality and stuff like that. It's trying to, the characters are too winky and too like clever, video game clever, which can be insufferable a lot of times. But yeah, it's a thing where like, I hope they are able to, improve it on patches and stuff like that. But like, holy cow, man, I was really taken aback at how rough that game was at launch. It was, pretty disappointing.
Well, those are our biggest letdowns. I don't even want to talk about our honorable mention letdowns, unless you want to, because I feel like we're just like throwing things.
Quantumania was there. Yeah. Was there too.
Have you seen the finale for Ted Lasso, Brent?
I thought about putting Ted Lasso.
I thought about putting it on there too.
But
it didn't seem nice.
Yeah.
To that show, to do it to that show, I don't know.
You know what I kind of was thinking about putting on here?
Wait, what?
Well, that's
I was going to put Yellow Jackets. Yeah.
You got to finish the season because I'm very curious to see what you did.
Yeah. Well, I watched the finale. I fucked it. Everyone, don't get mad at me. I watched the first 3 episodes, then I jumped to the finale.
Okay. Well, interesting. You know what? No, you're right. The whole season as a whole kind of is. I almost put Mario.
Super Mario Brothers, yeah.
Yeah. Because listen, beautiful, voice cast, excellent.
And a billion people think you're wrong.
Absolutely. Everybody on Earth does. My son would kill me in my sleep if he heard what I'm saying. I just think like the movie is empty.
This is the cutscene. So Brent goes off on Super Mario Brothers.
Oh no. People are gonna clip it and ship it, and I'm gonna get shut down.
This is it. Forget
Chris
the looter
Pratt's
shooter stuff.
Tweet storm my fucking ass. I just think the soul of the movie is kind of non-existent, and there's nothing going on at all in it. But I mean,
it's a rush,
flashy.
It's fun. Like a race. It's a Mario Kart race to the Easter egg, like to the set pieces. But
it's a fun time. I'll leave it at that.
All right, let's talk about. Hey, speaking of Super Mario Brothers,
yeah,
a very popular and long-lasting video game. Let's talk about our favorite video game of the year. I feel like this is not necessarily a new video game because mine is definitely not, because I just found out you can play it on Mac, so I just played it a ton. I played StarCraft 2 a lot this year. Cutscenes amazing. Story still great. Unfortunately, everything beyond the Terran storyline is paywalled. Like you can see the other campaigns. Yeah. So maybe I need to, whip my pocketbook. Huh?
Just buy them.
If I'm not mistaken, they're individually priced at like $50 each or something. And to me, I'm like, oh fuck, that is hundreds of dollars. Maybe it's not. It may be like $20 or something, but it wasn't a price that was like $5 to where I was just like, wait, I'm gonna have to pay how much for this game?
It's full price, yeah.
Anyways, I know it's been so long, right? But it's still, at least the free version of StarCraft 2, really good. I think they've improved a lot of the stuff. The story is still great, and I enjoyed playing it for hours and hours and hours and hours, to where it was a problem.
Hey, Blizzard is fucking excellent at that kind of game, my man. I know firsthand.
Yeah.
Just real random. yesterday, speaking of all that hype I was talking about with Starfield, my
Yeah.
dumb ass was persuaded by the presentation to buy this very cool Starfield custom
Whoa.
Xbox controller that is coming tomorrow. They ship those
Whoa.
fuckers out fast.
Wait, when does the game come out?
September, but the controllers are like on the presses, ready to go.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I dropped $80 on that like an idiot.
That's normal. When I bought so when remember when we all got Lego Star Wars? We were like, yeah, we got the
Hell
steel
yeah.
we all got Lego Star Wars. I was like, hey, there's a 2-player mode. And Sophia was like, maybe I'll play with you. I fucking drove to Target and bought another controller. and I turned the game on, and it's a little confusing on 2-player.
Yeah.
And that controller has only been used that one time for 5 minutes. So now I'm like, damn, I got
that is
2
hilarious.
controllers just at the prospect of a 2-player
Well, just
game.
ready. I mean, if your boy ever comes over and you want to pop on
Hell
COD,
yeah, LAN party, baby.
fucking BF2, toss
Yeah.
that bad boy, connect it.
So
Hell
yeah, we both buy controllers pretty quickly.
yeah, the drop of a fucking hat. We're there. I'm there at EB Games, fucking whipping my wallet out.
We're such. You know what else I'm really bad at? Anything that is even like maybe a little exclusive and is a poster for a movie I like.
Yeah.
And then I always have regret because you look and they're like, oh, we do 20 variants a year. And I'm like, oh.
Oh, shit. I
So-
dropped $300 on that. For
Well,
no
this
reason.
one version of this one thing that
Yeah.
there's going to be. Anyways, whatever.
Okay.
Now that's my letdown of the year. But what's your favorite game of the year?
I've played a lot of really good games so far this year, and I almost went with Diablo 4, which, believe me, I'm still fucking.
It's up there. Yeah.
I'm still playing often.
Oh,
trying
I
to
think
get
I know
that
what you're
gear.
going to pick then. Okay.
And I think it's Jedi Survivor.
Nice.
I just think all the aspects of that game were just so impressive. Technically, it's a gorgeous game that improves in every single way over the first one, a game which I think is very good. But yeah, the open world stuff is a blast. The kind of like Metroidvania elements of like, you can't go through this part now, but when you unlock this thing later, then you go back and there's like some cool stuff hidden. All that being said, I think like, the combat feels fluid and, you just feel so cool and powerful. I think the story is awesome. I think they did some really cool, unique things with the lore and the story and some kind of surprises, twists and turns, different kind of characters.
So much so that it says here there's a book you can read.
Yeah, I think Cal Kestis is a character in like a book that's set between 1 and 2. Because there's 5 years in between the first game and this one. Just an incredibly impressive single player game that I had a blast with.
So
Jedi Survivor.
I don't know if you know the answer to this, but according to Wikipedia, not Wikipedia, the competing online database for Star Wars knowledge.
Equal levels, yeah.
But it's the final Star Wars game with Electronic Arts and Lucasfilm.
Oh, okay. Let me
What
check
does that
the time.
mean?
How much time do we have?
Okay, never mind.
I'll sum it up because I want to talk about
So is there
going
to be another one? Oh, okay.
Okay. So short version. When Disney bought Lucasfilm, pretty soon after, I guess Disney or whoever signed an exclusive deal with EA to make Star Wars games. Long story short, the kind of like, actual output of quality Star Wars games in the huge span of time, 7-8 years that they've had the license has been pretty minimal. Like few games have come out. Some have had issues. So basically they said, you know what, we're going to go on a case by case basis. Long story short, I think that is by far a win for Star Wars as a whole, because then I
feel like there's a lot of other Star Wars games coming.
Yeah, I mean, we have Massive, who is an Ubisoft studio who's doing their Star Wars game, which looks awesome. I think we're going to get a lot bigger variety of Star Wars experiences now that it's not EA, because EA,
But it doesn't stop EA from continue. So they can make another Jedi
they can.
Survivor, and they can do
Yeah.
like another battle. They
It
can
doesn't
still
stop them.
continue.
It's just
Okay.
not exclusive, and I think that's a net win for everyone.
Yeah. Who cares?
Yeah, and EA is not great. EA has some issues, but yeah.
Hey, outside of Star Wars, the Madden game hasn't really improved since 2015.
I mean,
and
hey, I'm a
come on, EA,
FIFA
get in
man.
there.
Same.
All right, let's talk about. I don't have a segue for this. Let's talk about. Okay.
Speaking of Madden,
Speaking of Madden,
I
which
don't know where I'm
has
going with
stars.
stars. Nope,
Not good.
bad.
Anyways, we're talking about our star of the year. So maybe like so far this year, who we think is a really great breakout star that we're really excited about. And it may not be so much something that maybe something came out this year with them in it, but it also is probably just a culmination of their last couple of years of work, and they're relatively new. Which is really fun because we'll be able to highlight some people who we're maybe talking about for a long time in the near future.
I think I'm going to fuck this one up.
Uh-oh. You picked Tom Cruise?
So I just did something that does not really fit with how you're talking about this. So
or I guess like the biggest star of the year for you. Oh shit, I don't know.
Okay, well you go first.
Okay, I picked Ayo Edebiri, who is a hilarious actress.
Love that.
She is in a bunch of stuff. She's in I Think You Can Leave with Tim Robinson this year, as well as the voice in Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Mutant Mayhem, Spider-Man Across the Universe. So she's got a couple of movies this year. She's got some other movies coming out later on that are live action. She's in The Bear, but mostly I've been listening to her on different podcasts, like improv podcasts. She's in Abbott Elementary now and Big Mouth. But I think she's great. She's a stand-up. She's relatively young. She's hilarious. She's got her own kind of personality that her characters kind of imbue sometimes, but she's really good and she's really smart and she's really funny. And I can't wait to see her in more stuff. She's in the Thunderbolts, so she's like everyone else joining the MCU at the moment. The second something is a hit, she got a phone call. Will you be in Thunderbolts? And she said yes.
Hot on the phone.
But that's who I pick as the star of the year. So she's new, but she's also having a really, really big year this year.
Yeah, you know what probably could have helped me?
They don't have to be new. They don't have to be new.
Okay, because for star of the year, I wasn't thinking breakout star. I was just thinking like star of the year. Like the Sun. This
you
is
the Sun.
I did pick the Sun. It's the Sun's year. No, listen, it's kind of a two-part answer.
Okay.
I put our little Italian / Brooklyn friend Mario - Nintendo for star of the year so far. I just think, I guess I went a little macro with this.
No, you're good. You're good. I like this. This is good. I picked Ayo Edebiri and you picked
I picked Mario Nintendo. And Nintendo. Listen, always some surprises here on Screen Slush. No, I just think, I just think Mario had an insane turnout at the box office. I think that has only highlighted the wide, massive base that is there for Mario and by extension Nintendo IPs and characters, which feels like a massive moment in terms of like not even just movies but entertainment. That kind of realization of like, I don't want to use all these business terms, but kind of the synergy of these, between Nintendo and movies. Like it feels almost to me like an example of like Iron Man or something in 2008. Like I feel like we are about to enter the era of video game adaptations. Last of Us is kind of also an element at play here. At the other end of that spectrum, just showing the kind of variety that game stories can kind of, exemplify in movies and TV. But yeah, I think, and kind of Nintendo by extension, because they've been a global kind of like powerhouse for decades. And I don't know why it took them so long to kind of get into the filmmaking space, but now that they're there's not slowing down, man. It just feels like we are going to be seeing Nintendo movies and probably shows, you know, at a pretty high quality forever now. Like, I think the floodgates have opened, and our little plumber friend has got to fix the floodgates, because we're gonna drown.
Well, and I think there's a third partner there. It's a throuple situation between Mario and Nintendo, because it's massive for Illumination.
Mm-hmm.
And I think his name is Chris Melisandre, the guy who runs it and made the first Despicable Me movie. Because
Bob's dad.
It's part of Bob's dad. It's part of the reason why Nintendo has allowed their IP to exist in the world, is they believed in Illumination enough and trusted them with their basically prized pony in the Mario Brothers. And now I guess with Zelda, but there is going to be a giant move to adapt everything that is close to being a 4-quadrant video game movie. So get ready for, what's that dragon from Nintendo? Remember that dragon? Was it? It's not Puff the Magic Dragon. There was that game. Crash Bandicoot? Is that a Nintendo game? Pikmin?
Sega. Wait, what the fuck? Are you thinking of Spyro?
Spyro, yes.
Fucking wait.
Is that Nintendo?
That's Sony. That's PlayStation. Boy.
Okay, well, never mind.
Not a game.
But get ready for all of those types of games, and not so much the ones that were super narrative forward anyways. Like a Metal Gear game, a Halo TV show, some of that stuff you were like, okay, it's kind of a matter of time because they wrote that stuff.
Yeah.
But now we're thinking even the iconic video games that you may not have ever played a single level of, but kind of existing in this space where it kind of is cyclical. And it's honestly, maybe it's too early to say this, but Illumination is, with Nintendo's partnership especially, they're kind of the Disney of this new era. Like, they've got the ability to exploit an IP in movies, TV, and in theme parks the way that Bob Iger wishes he had right now. But it's going to be Illumination time. Minions Land is opening up this summer. Nintendo World's already open. Like, it's crazy. They're doing it.
It's wild, man. Yeah, and I think it's a really exciting time because, you know, I think, listen, I love superhero movies. I think that in terms of like variety and diversity of like the different kinds of stories you can see and things like that, and characters and worlds and stuff, I just think that there is so much fucking variety in potentially adapting games, not to compare the two because they're different, but games to something like superhero movies and comic books. Well, comic books is broader than superhero movies, right? But like, I think if we're going to get, you know, an era of like big budget, well done adaptations of things from like something, I don't know, like fucking, like Spyro or fucking, I mean, we're already getting Sonic, but like to more mature things like Mass Effect or fucking Dragon Age, like it's going to be cool. Yeah.
It's still big IP. So it is still like, what's the thing that everyone has kind of heard of or heard of a lot, like Mario, or even like Barbie? Like, what is this thing that people already know the name of that we can sort of exploit in a theater?
You know what I bet?
It's kind of working. Yeah.
Yeah. You know what I bet has already happened? Someone at Blizzard giving good old Robert Eggers a call about Diablo, doing a Diablo movie. That call has already happened for sure. They want a real sick freak to make their demonic horror action movie.
It is kind of, I think though, you're right in the fact that Last of Us and Super Mario Brothers are both, you know, kind of at the top of their mediums, but this is the year that video games and video game movies kind of revert, because it used to be like you'd get like second grade video games from adaptions of movies, right? Almost, you know, where it was like, well, let's try to do a Star Wars game because everyone knows what Star Wars is, you know. And now it's like, well, let's do a movie based on the game because everyone knows what the game is. But they should adapt Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2 into a movie.
But make it a movie. That's the next next one. Yeah, just a real Ouroboros of fucking IP franchise
eating itself. Then they'll do Star Wars Battlefront to the game, the movie game, or whatever. Yeah. And yeah, the Fortnite skin of the Fortnite movie.
Oh man, you just know we're getting like they're gonna do a Fortnite movie at some point. That's
Yeah.
absolutely gonna. I don't know how. There's a
Yeah.
lot of story content in the game. Not
Well,
really
yeah.
any of it really sticks, but they're gonna try. Absolutely.
Eventually, we're not gonna go to a movie unless we already know what the brand is. We're
Yeah.
like, oh, there's a Glade plug-in movie. Do you want to go watch that, or do you want to watch the new Scorsese? And we're gonna be like, well, I know Glade plug-in smells good.
Did Scorsese's is his new movie about a guy who made the thing that smells good? I don't know. It's
Because
about
I got
is it
Glades in my
Oklahoma?
house. I got a lot of Glade plugins in my house. I don't have a single Scorsese. Sorry.
I don't know. Pass.
Do you want to talk about the craziest moment of the year
I
so
mean,
far? Do you think we have the same thing?
writer strike, right?
Yeah, writer's
Yeah.
strike. Crazy.
Why?
Kind of blows up. I mean, not even just the writers, the fact that this labor movement across guilds, including the Directors Guild and the Screen Actors Guild, it's all coming to a head, and it's all around technology and streaming and AI, and yeah, kind of wild.
Yeah, and ongoing, but definitely feels like the biggest kind of earth-shaking thing that's happened in to basically all the mediums and all the things that we love. Outside of books,
Outside of books,
those
doesn't affect
authors are just fine.
books. Yeah, don't write. You can all those screenwriters. You get to write books.
You just go write a book now, and nobody will read it.
Oh shit!
But yeah, that feels like the biggest thing, and good year.
My only other big thing that was like on the positive side was Everything Everywhere All at Once winning. Basically, I almost forget how historic that, because it swept every major category at every major awards, which just hasn't happened like ever, because it won critics. It won just everything. And normally there's some variance there, and there wasn't for this movie. I just think it's wild that the Daniels movie won, because that movie is
crazy.
not what I thought.
The guys who made the farting corpse movie, won every fucking Academy Award,
crazy. Possible, and so that was kind of a wild, kind of crazy thing. And who knows if that's like a one-off or if that's just going to be a consistent thing. But yeah, well. Let me give a quick recap of what we decided were our favorite things of the half year. So we'll see. Maybe at the end of the year, we'll still talking about, I mean, I might still be talking about Honor Among Thieves as my biggest surprise, but who knows? Maybe there's other things that change. But favorite movie of the year. Oh, shit. Oh, okay. I forgot to write what your star of the year was, but it is pretty easy to remember. Okay, our favorite movies of the year. I picked Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and you chose D&D, Honor Among Thieves. Favorite TV show of the year. I chose Succession. You chose The Last of Us. Biggest surprise of the year. D&D, Honor Among Thieves was my choice, and you picked Double Fine, Psych Odyssey, the documentary. Biggest letdown, I picked Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, so heavy MCU for me, and you chose the game Redfall. Favorite video game, mine was StarCraft 2, yours was Jedi Survivor, and the star of the year, I picked Ayo Edebiri, and you picked Mario and Nintendo. And then the craziest thing that happened, we both picked the Writers Guild strike, because it was. And I gotta say this, all of your answers were game related. All of them.
Wow.
From D&D to Last of Us,
shit,
to Redfall, to Jedi Survivor, to Nintendo. You chose Nintendo as your star of the year.
I know, man.
Big game energy.
Yeah. Big year for games. Undeniable.
Yeah.
But wow, that's still little strange. Didn't realize that, I guess.
Well, let us know what your favorite things were this year. I would be surprised if you picked anything different because we're right. No, I would be surprised if we had anything similar with our listeners, because everybody watches different things for different reasons. But we've come to the end of this pod. Brent, what do you have to plug?
I don't know if this is going to be public.
It's public. It's public.
Cool, very
it's public.
Cool. Then check out the Delphin Pod Patreon at patreon.com/DelphinPod for other cool, fun Screen Slush episodes like this, and talking about new movies, new shows, games, all sorts of things. And I'm trying to think about anything else going on. That's about it.
Nice. Yeah, definitely everything that Brent has to plug. Listen to all of the shows. And I'm going to finish this with, I think, a line that everyone, including my high school theater teacher, has been waiting to hear. And I'm going to do it with the accent, baby. That's right. It's been a while. It's like Daniel Day-Lewis coming back into
Wow, coming in hot.
coming back in for a Phantom Thread cameo somewhere. Sadness flies on the wings of the morning, and out of the heart of darkness comes the light. Oh, hold on.